Hello, and welcome to Rough Trade's latest Zoom webinar event. Thank you for joining us. I'm Al Mills of Rough Trade, and I'll be your compere for the evening. Tonight, we are super excited and privileged to present an intimate livestream Q&A session welcoming St. Vincent to this Rough Trade Zoom webinar. The legendary artist will soon be on your screen and in conversation with our very special guest host for the evening, journalist Laura Barton. Our guests are here for an in-depth conversation celebrating the release of St. Vincent's latest album, Daddy's Home, out this Friday on Loma Vista. Now, before I hand it over to our guests, I'll quickly explain how tonight's event will work. To begin, our guests will be on screen and in conversation for around 45 minutes. We will then switch to audience questions for around 15 minutes. You can submit your audience questions via the chat feed bar on the bottom of your Zoom screen anytime during the event. Please keep your questions short and concise, and please type them on the Zoom chat feed to be read out on your behalf. We'll do our best to ask as many questions as possible, but please do be patient. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to a very special guest now, introducing St. Vincent and Laura Barton.
Thank you very much.
Hi
Annie, how are you?
I'm good. Hey Laura, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Where are you today? And please give us a guided tour of the artwork behind you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in Los Angeles, and there's a hentai situation, and then there's Joni Mitchell behind me.
Oh, good. There's a good angels to have on your shoulder.
Absolutely, on either side.
Congratulations on your album, which is it's absolutely stunning. I mean, it's my favorite thing you've ever done. It's amazing. I'm very excited for the audience to hear it in 2 days' time. Perhaps we should start with the overarching looming thing of maybe taking us back to late December 2019. You were is that right? Is that date right?
Yeah. I think it was around. I think it was November. I was actually in London at the time, but I was in London at the time working, but my dad was released from prison where he'd been for about 10 years. So it was
and it is a strange moment in your life because you just had phenomenal success. You just won 2 Grammys, right? I guess because you had the 1 Grammy for your and then 1 for the album package. Was that right?
Yes.
That year.
Did I win it for the album package? I mean, I know that, but like, I don't think I'm
going to say that your bio says you did.
Oh, really?
But I know that you won it for the song. But we can pretend. Let's for tonight pretend you won 2 Grammys.
Okay, I won 2. I was carrying 2.
Yeah, absolutely, in both hands. So you were at the sort of the peak of brilliance in your career at that moment, I guess.
Yes, it's been all downhill since.
I'm so sorry about that. And then this huge thing happens to you. That must have been like a snake digesting a rabbit, I'm guessing.
Gosh, that's a vivid way to put it. It was. I think I didn't know exactly what to expect. You know, with like when someone's been incarcerated for lots and lots of years, you just don't know how they're going to adapt or if they're going to be a different person or all that stuff. So yeah, I was in London at the time actually, and it was very kind of the prison system is very chaotic and not very organized, it seems. And I got a sort of like last minute call, like, oh, they're going to release him, like in just a short amount of time. So you don't have very much time to prepare when they say like, oh, they're coming home. So like, okay, great. So I was in London at the time, but my sisters went and got him, and we got to chit chat and over FaceTime. And then I went back to Dallas shortly after that, and got to kind of be part of the welcome wagon, the welcome committee. So, but it's been actually really lovely. I wasn't sure what to expect, but in, you know, people can grow even when they're a lot older.
For sure, yeah.
And, it's nice to have some sort of understanding, I guess, of my father and who he is and why he is. You know, and then like who you are as, you know, as that kind of mirror, and where are you similar and where are you different. So it's been a funny ride. It really has. Funny. It's been actually legitimately funny.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I wanted to get that out of the way first, because obviously it inspires and feeds into, and even, I guess, gives the album its amusing title.
Yes.
I guess the most important thing is that musical relationship between you and your dad, which is and I guess all your family, but that has fed into this album. I know that you've referenced the fact that it's New York 1971 to 75, was that right?
76, Laura, 76. Let's get
twice. But that was the bulk of your dad's record collection, is that right?
Yeah, definitely the Steely Dan stuff was loomed large in my childhood, and it was, you know, music that I had in my ears from when I was a tiny kid. And I was probably the biggest Steely Dan fan, the youngest, biggest Steely Dan fan there ever was, which didn't make me particularly popular at sleepovers, but you know, eventually served me well. So yeah, that, you know, this period of time where music was really sophisticated, and jazz and rock and blues and soul and all this stuff was fusing, but it wasn't in a flower children way. It wasn't, you had people like Stevie Wonder who were truly speaking to the human condition and kind of what it actually was, but what people were actually going through during that time, with great records like Talking Book and Fulfilling His First Finale, Songs in the Key of Life. So yeah, that's kind of the world that I went back to.
What did you know about New York growing up?
I knew from a pretty early age that it seemed like a mecca. I was like, oh, I've got to get out of here. God bless it. I mean, I'm from Oklahoma and I'm from Texas, and I love those places dearly, but I knew I had to escape and get to a place where there were more people like me. Or a lot of people not at all like me, but who I needed to know.
And when did you actually get there, and how different was it for you?
Well, I actually got there after college. I dropped out of college in Boston and moved to New York, and didn't do so well. I didn't, you know, it's weird, Laura. I didn't make it. I didn't make it in New York when I moved there right after college. So I moved back to Texas with kind of my tail between my legs and joined a band called the Polyphonic Spree, and then eventually found my way back to New York a couple years later with a little bit of a, you know, little feather in my cap, little kind of career to start.
And then you've moved West Coast now, right?
Yeah, sort of. I have a little pied a terre. Maybe you could say that more beautifully.
I'm British.
In New York. Yeah, you're British. In New York, and I live in Texas some of the time still, and I have a place here in Los Angeles. So.
Does it still maintain that same allure to you?
New York still has a whole lot of romance to me. It really does. I still have just such a deeply romantic vision of it, and I still think about, you know, the blocks I've lived on, and, you know, when you're walking down the street, I mean, just every single place has some kind of a memory.
There's one of the things I very much love about the record is the references to things like bodega roses and wearing high heels in the morning on the train, and, you know, all those kinds of very New York images to me. But also the sounds so much like a New York street to me, or, you know, when I first got there. in my life. It sounds exactly like that sound, or the sound you might hear in a movie about New York. How did you sonically go about finding that?
Well, I think about music in terms of color, and to me, this was very. First of all, I used the instruments that were being used in the early 70s, Wurlitzers and clavs, and this choral electric sitar guitar that was made in the late 60s, and kind of or an R&B instrument there for a while. Clean drums,
Mm-hmm.
tape machines, just, I mean, it didn't go so completist and make sure that no gear was from past 1976 or anything. There was some like new gear and things like that, but I used the tones of the era, and those things are very wooden to me and very grounded and very they're sort of earthen, or they're like psychedelic on top.
You've also got these phenomenal backing singers, haven't you?
Yeah.
Could you tell us
So great.
and how you found them and what you wanted them to bring to this record?
Yeah. Well, I'd never really written for voices other than my own, or when I had background singing on my records, well, I'd just do it, because I think that was kind of a relic of starting recording myself and just alone in my bedroom kind of thing, and going, well, if there's a part, well, I'll just put it down. But on this one, I was like, so much of it, I want to explore the conversation and the dialogue. Like, we're having a dialogue in the world, and I want to write for these other voices that can do things and evoke things that my voice can't, and also that they get to be these characters themselves and people or spirits that I sort of lean on, or who respond to me. Sometimes they're like the best friend who knows what the deal is and is like, come on. And sometimes they're kind of the angel on my shoulder, and sometimes they're a Greek chorus and all that. So it was fun to write for them.
And you also got these very beautiful humming interludes, haven't you? There are 3 of them.
Yeah, that was, I'm realizing now the kind of the very masculine, feminine that I was exploring on this record, that I don't think I'd necessarily done so before, where I was thinking about my mother, and my mother is always humming no matter what she does. And I was thinking to myself one day, as I was watching her, in the kitchen, just humming along, like, my God, if only the things that she'd been humming had been recorded. I bet there's entire symphonies there that are just kind of lost to the wind. But I started thinking about humming for her as maybe like a soothing, but also a coping mechanism, and things in her life that weren't easy. And it started to represent this kind of beautiful, like, feminine strength. And I wanted to, anytime in the record where I felt like there just needed to be a little bit of a respite, I wanted to have these humming interludes be like she would be, like, just humming through.
Has your notion of feminine strength shifted over the course of your career? You've explored lots of different kinds of femininity or manifestations of it.
I don't know. I think because I was really raised by my mom and had older sisters, I think my idea of feminine strength is pretty deeply in me and pretty rooted. I wasn't, my mother is a feminist, and it was very matrifocal, and I was definitely raised where my sisters are my best friends, and so I have a feeling towards women that is generous and not about competitive. It's not competitive, the feeling I feel. So I don't know. I think that was kind of that. I was raised with that, and then it's just evolved, and I've gotten to explore myself, like, what it means for me personally, what strength looks like in me, and especially getting to kind of try on all of these different modes of power and how people wield power and how people conceive of things, like getting to dabble in all of them and live in those spaces. That for me is so exciting and freeing.
Mm-hmm. And what does strength mean to you at this moment? Where do you feel that you're strongest?
I think I know what I am and know what I'm not. And that's fine. I also feel like I love this record a whole lot, and it was a joy to make, and not all of them are. You're a writer, some things are just like hard labor, and some things are like, oh, this somehow just emerged. And I think I love this record so much, and it's really deep and close to me, and I really hope people respond to it. And for the people who it's for, God, I hope it, is everything they want it to be and more. And for the people who it's not for, I don't care. I think that's what strength is to me. I'm like, oh, it's not for you. Oh, then there's so much more for you. But this is for the people it's for. So.
Mm-hmm. You said about you know who you are and what you are. Is it strange to you that so many people want to know the real you? I guess from the fact that you are both St. Vincent and Annie Clark, but also lots of different, not roles, but different personas, I guess, or parts of your personality throughout your career. Does that still change you?
Well, it does in a way, because I feel like when I think about how much of my life, of my literal life, like autobiography, but also just the time of my life that I've spent playing shows or making work or kind of conceiving of this, like that is me. So I always feel I get a little like, oh wait, but you, if you know my work, you do know me. You know me always better than, people who I've known forever. I tell you things that I don't even, mm-hmm. tell my best friend. So it's a funny idea of intimacy. And I think one thing, I think sometimes people assume that I take myself very seriously, which is it's actually the opposite. Most of my litmus test for most things about myself and otherwise is like, does it make me laugh? Like the title Daddy's Home is ridiculous. Like that to me is funny. Obviously it's true and it's painful, and my literal father came back from prison, all that. But it's also like, I'm daddy now. It's cringy, it's funny, it's sleazy. And depending on the fact that it's a title that is about my literal father, but it's also like paired with this sort of sexy coquettish thing is just so funny to me. It's like an Arrested Development, like singing Afternoon Delight with your niece. Like it's to me. So it's funny to me. It's funny to me.
When you were in the studio, so you recorded again with Jack Antonoff, didn't you? Is that humor a litmus test throughout the process? Or is it focus?
Yeah. Oh, Jack and I just riff all the time. In terms of trying to just make each other laugh, absolutely. Let me be clear, obviously, the music's not a joke. It's not like, it's not a Lonely Island. It's not a parody. There's not a Type 5 in there, but in terms of sometimes so much of what we're all living in and what we're all doing to try to survive and be loved, and it's absurd. And you find yourselves doing things and you're like, I'm an idiot. What am I doing? This is absolutely absurd. This is the line in Daddy's Home about signing autographs in the visitation room, that happened and that was hilarious. That is oh, good God, but so yeah, Jack and I we personally are trying to make each other laugh, but in the studio, we are having fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're truly like having fun. There's not a moment that's not fun.
You looked as if you were having fun with the SNL performance and surrounded.
Yeah, I did have fun.
Yeah. Can you tell us about that? So you performed with a lot of people for the first time, it felt like in a while. Or a bigger band.
Yeah, that was a band that had been together all of 7 days. We had 3 rehearsals, and then it was like lights, camera, live TV, everybody. So I mean, great group of musicians. Really, really so exciting to get to just like play music with people again. And yeah, I mean, the material is loose and free and fun, and again, close to my heart. So it was a legitimately really, really fun time on SNL. And it's the second time I've done it. And the first time I look back and I go, wow, that was so amazing that I did it. But I was scared to death. So it wasn't like fun in the way, or like joyful in the way that this one was.
Scared because it was the first time doing it, or scared because it was so exposing just for you?
Oh, because I'm a huge fan of the show, and I've watched it since I was a kid. I've watched every single season since I've been alive. So it was just, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm on SNL. And, there's a lot of moving parts, but this time I knew the lay of the land. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like, okay, I got this. And the band I was playing with, they're so good. So I just felt very comfortable.
Is that the band you'll have when you finally get to tour?
God, I hope so, yeah.
Do you know when that will be? We got dates in yet? Or is that?
I mean, I hope sometime in this year.
Yeah. So some of the references on this record, we've got a bit of Bowie, a bit of Fame, haven't we? There, we've got Steely Dan, as mentioned. It feels a little bit of a flicker of Cars. The Cars, a little bit, maybe. Is that?
That's interesting. I like the Cars, but they never like moved my heart. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that would have been a reference.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No. I was listening to it earlier, and it was the first time it had hit me that I was suddenly like, is that a Cars one that I missed? But maybe not. But most particularly Sheena Easton, there is a well, Sheena Easton, shall we say? Could you tell us about how that came about?
Sure. Well, I wrote a song called My Baby Wants a Baby, which originally was inspired by the 21 Savage song A Lot, which I really like. I promise you got a lot. Anyway, so I wrote the song. I was like, and for 12 hours, I was like, you guys, I might be a genius. I just wrote the best melody. And then I woke up the next morning, I was like, wait a second, my baby takes so long. I was like, oh, this is why I love that melody so much. It's because it already existed and was a massive hit. So, but then I was like, you know what? I think it came to me for a reason, and it very much works on a meta level, I think.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to clear it, or is it just a gift?
Oh, absolutely. Florrie Palmer who wrote Sheena Easton, 9 to 5, Morning Train, is a co-writer on the song. So okay. Good. Those days are over. You can't just
get away with it anymore. No. There are some really it feels like some very isolated and sort of painful moments within the record. There's references to suicide. There's the My Baby Wants a Baby, I guess, dilemma of whether you go into motherhood or whether parenthood in general. There's drugs, and there's drinking. That's not the whole thing in the world, but what was it that you wanted to bring to that? Was that sort of sleazy New York feeling, or was that a particular slice of life that you wanted to capture?
I mean, I think I just sort of I've been all the characters at some point. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just write about it. And it was I was thinking in terms of, I was trying to kind of channel people like Candy Darling or Jenna Rollins and Cassavetes films and this, you know, just people a little bit on the edge.
What did those films and those characters mean to you growing up, or even now?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really aware of, you know, Cassavetes or Candy Darling growing up in the suburbs of Dallas, but certainly did discover. I just thought the story of Candy Darling is just so beautiful to me. I mean, this person comes from Queens, goes geographically not very far, but a world away to downtown Manhattan. She gets to become herself, is celebrated for being herself, and is like a real like kind of star for a moment. I mean, obviously she had an untimely death from cancer, but she just seemed, you know, this combination of like very elegant in a sort of 1920s golden age of Hollywood kind of elegance, but also like somebody who would stick you with a shiv if you said the wrong thing to her. And I was like, oh, that's everything.
Yeah.
That's everything I want to be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have to train to be that, or are you just that inherently, do you think?
I think it's a combination of nature and nurture. I think she probably had to defend herself on a number of occasions.
Mm-hmm. And there are direct references, aren't there, to Joni Mitchell, one of
the
shoulders, and Tori Amos, and the women who've come before you, I guess, plowed out that furrow for you to walk along.
I was trying to get PJ Harvey in there, but I couldn't figure out a rhyme scheme. And the Jane at the beginning of the Melting of the Sun song, I'm thinking of Joan Didion, but I just couldn't have a Joan and a Joni.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of that, you know, that great Joan Didion in front of that Stingray Corvette, and her time in Malibu writing, and her very California essays. Yeah, I mean, I just sort of was saying to a lot of women who are great artists and who gave me a whole lot, just thank you for doing what you did. And I hope that in whatever small way I have a voice, that I hope I make life easier for the next generation. I don't know why I was thinking of, it seems like as we're talking about it, I was thinking of legacy in some ways that I wasn't consciously aware of, but just like, oh, fuck. At the very least, I hope I made it easier for somebody else. Yeah.
I'm sure so. I mean, but you've also collaborated with various female artists in recent years, and how important has that been to maybe even to the way that you write or you perform?
Well, I'd say, you know, from my business side, like my agents and managers and people I hire on my crew, I work with so many women, and I definitely I like working with women, and maybe it goes back to just, you know, how I was raised and very, you know, mother and sisters, but I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I get to hire people, and from my creative side creative team as well. It's like I work with so many women creative directors, women, you know, on hair and makeup, wardrobe, all of the above, sets, everything. So I'm not sure that I answered your question, but I guess I just feel lucky that I'm like able to hire.
Mm-hmm. That's a fundamental thing, rather than Do you feel there is a fundamental shift going on within the industry in that way? So it's not just the big female pop star, but it is.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I mean, the engineer I've worked with on the past 2 records, Laura Sisk.
Oh yeah.
You know, so really at every level. I do. Although, you know, it's sort of like, it's a little bit like the fish that doesn't entirely know what water is. Like I've just kind of come up and I don't know another experience. You know, I don't know, there's not some direct comparison or parallel universe where I could go, well, this was my experience coming up as a woman, but was my other parallel experience coming up as a man. So I don't have like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but it does seem to be evening out. And also, I mean, music in some ways, certainly not in all ways, can be, you know, can be a little bit more equitable than, say, some of the film stuff with actresses, because women are, you know, that was a slightly different. Anyway, we don't have to get into the complexities of the structure of Me Too. That's not the hill I want to die on, but there's a lot. It's a complex situation.
For sure. And so those female voices you mentioned, were they ones you always gravitated towards, or the references for this album are so wide, but it's moving to hear you mention Joni and Tori and Joan/Jane.
Yeah.
You know, did they feel like your home when you heard them? Or did Bowie equally your home, or Steely Dan equally your home?
I think all my home in different ways. I mean, Nina Simone was another person that I referenced in The Melting of the Sun, who's just so, everything she does sounds haunted in the most beautiful way. I mean, I love Nina, but yeah, they did. I think growing up, I heard about Joni Mitchell from like, God, I forget what article I was reading on some other female musician in the 90s. They were like, but have you checked out Joni Mitchell? And I remember checking out Ladies of the Canyon in Blue, and they were beautiful, but I was like into like kind of harder edged stuff at the time. Like I wanted to see people like bleed. So I thought it was great, but it wasn't where I was at the time. But then a few years later, I went back and I found like Hygieia, which is like cubist and deep and just absolutely a stunning record. And then Don Juan's Reckless Daughter, and these kind of the stuff that was less acoustic, I guess. And it was in that, you know. So anyway, I found just the my entry point into Joni in a way that was just like, holy shit, this is unbelievable.
And what was your entry into Steely Dan as the youngest Steely Dan fan in the world?
Oh, my dad, it was always, Steely Dan was always on whenever I was with him.
And which is your favorite of their back catalogue? The people who are watching now, we've got a good sized audience. Where should they go in with Steely Dan?
Oh God. Well, Can't Buy a Thrill is great. Pretzel Logic, they're all great. Yeah. The only one I'd say, which maybe wouldn't be the place to go, would be, I wouldn't start with Katie Lott. Actually, no, that has great songs on it. You could honestly, with Steely Dan, you could jump in anywhere and be thrilled. I mean, Gaucho was their last one of the Walter Becker, Donald Fagen collabs before the big hiatus. I can talk about this for a long time. I'll talk about Steely Dan.
Lead to Steely Dan, and I'm this. Yeah.
I have no idea how divisive they were.
I know, it's weird.
People will shun you if you're like, I'm a Dan stan.
Let's reclaim it now.
Yeah. Anywhere was Steely Dan.
Where was Jack as big a fan of Steely Dan?
No. I think he went back and listened to it at my behest, but no, I think, well, what we talked about actually was that he didn't have a problem with Steely Dan. It's just that a lot of the people who would proselytize about Steely Dan were very arrogant about it, which I understand. I mean, that's, if you don't like the, you know, if you're like, oh, that's not a club I want to be a part of, I get it, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
But so you've worked with Jack quite a few times now, and I guess you had to go to him with this idea of an album, and you immediately start referencing Steely Dan, and did he completely blanch, or did
no, he got there, and also there were enough, you know, references there, and the little 17% psychedelic world, and the kind of sloppy sounds pejorative, but the sort of like vibey playing, like Stonesy kind of playing. I mean, not Stonesy, because that's one thing that I really liked the Rolling Stones, but I didn't totally get it until making this record. And now I'm a huge Stones fan.
Which was the one that unlocked it for you?
Actually, Some Girls, which I realize is like more disco-y, but it's a great, but anyway, I'm rambling.
No, you're not. It's really good.
Classic rock.
This is for Rough Trade, a record store. We can talk about records till the cows. How does it feel to play these songs in that sort of looser, more limber way? Because I don't know, I'm pretending to hold the guitar while I'm asking this question.
No, like this. Yeah, that's good. That's how you hold it.
Because your stage show to date it's been quite angular and almost a brittleness to it. But these songs have this beautiful looseness to it. I was saying previous records weren't beautiful, but this is sort of mellowness almost to it. How does it feel physically?
It feels great. It feels meditative. It's like the experience is so different. It's like, I don't know. It feels, this is going to sound very stonery, and just bear with me, but it feels like there's like a current of water, and you're like, when you sing, you're like dipping a toe in, and then you're going away, and then you're just like, you're getting into this sounds so stupid. You're like, you're in a flow of it in a way that is, you're not making anything happen. You're just there. And I remember there's a great Nina Simone live recording of it, and I think it's I Shall Be Released, or maybe it's Young, Gifted, and Black, where she the band starts, and it's these singers coming in, and maybe the people watching can remember which song it is, but like the band starts and she's like, stop, you're pushing, like don't put nothing on it that, you know, isn't there or something, and don't put nothing on it unless you feel it. And like, that's this to me. Young, Gifted, and Black, thank you. To be young, gifted, and black. She's like, no, stop, you're pushing. And so that I just had her voice in my head the whole record. Don't put nothing on it like this. You feel it.
Is that the first time you felt that looseness in playing? Or was that for a long time?
I think that I started to feel that. When I was playing the piano shows with my friend Thomas Bartlett on Mass Seduction, where it was like we had just a couple rules. One was get very drunk. Two was, no, there was just one rule, was get very drunk. But we just flowed in a way. We just played. It was just me and him on stage, and I was just singing. I wasn't playing. I was just like, okay, I'm singing and I'm reacting as a singer to a brilliant piano player, and we are just like going like this. And then in between, you know, you tell blue off-color jokes and then go back to sing, blah, blah, blah. It's sort of more cabaret thing. And I think that was kind of the first time that I was like, oh, okay,
And were you chasing that feeling again with this, or?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I wanted to just be very much, I just wanted to be very, just so performed.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in it, I wanted to be performed. I didn't want to be, obviously it's very considered and very written, the material, but within that, just play. And that was really lovely.
It feels as if, and do correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe way off the mark, but as if you must have been holding on to things very tightly for like in a personal sense and musically, and it feels, this album, when you listen to it, as if you've just let go a little bit. Is that true, or
Yeah.
how do you think that's going to feed into things that follow?
I think that's very fair to say. And a lot of the work, was rigid work about feeling constrained. So like, and there's not, I have no like regrets or anything about that. That's exactly where I was and exactly what I needed to explore at the time. But yeah, it certainly was. It was nice to see like the color drain back into my knuckles,
There's certainly a lot of the imagery on the record has sort of echoes of that. You've got a lot of images that are about people being trapped, and then you've got images that feel sort of whether that's in relationships or whether it's the references to visiting your father, but also the sort of looser feeling, the drunkenness, the whatever. It feels like a real push-pull between the two.
Oh, good. Good, Laura.
Thanks. I get the rosette. We are now at Q&A. We've got 50 questions. I don't think I've ever seen so many questions for a Q&A.
Really?
So let me just try and look through them for you.
Okay, great.
You can do it if you want to. We just didn't want to. Let's choose a random one.
Okay, you're choosing them. Sorry, Laura, just to be clear, you're choosing them. I like it. Okay, yeah, hit me.
If you want to.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to be. That feels like a lot of responsibility, and like.
If you like one of the ones I choose, you can cast them aside. That's fine.
Absolutely.
What was the inspiration behind the album artwork for Daddy's Home? It's beautiful artwork.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, an extensive Pinterest mood board. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like Lauren Hutton photographs from the 70s, Candy Darling photographs, Jenna Rollins again, Superfly. I mean, just really like, and this great guy, Zachary Michael, shot the photos, all, film, and just honestly, nothing about like perfection or anything, just like capturing a moment. And yeah, they're not, I mean, it's not like we really even like retouched anything. Mm-hmm. If there was retouching done, I was like, no, take all that away.
Yeah.
Show the bags under my eyes. That's the point.
Thank you. I really like this one, which is, what's your favorite go-to guitar chord, as in the default that when you pick up a guitar?
Oh God. You know what it is? It's usually it's an A minor 7. Mm-hmm. It's an A minor 7 with the on the first and second frets, and then with the 7 on the high string.
And what feeling does that give you?
It is melancholy, but a little sweet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice choice. There's a request here from Mark Buckley. My brother's birthday is on the same day as the release, and he was the reason I got into St. Vincent. Could you do a fanboy shout out to Joseph, please? Happy birthday, Joseph.
What's up, Joseph? Happy birthday. How old are you going to he?
We don't know. It's a mystery. But Mark, his brother, just wanted that little shout.
I will say I'll give Joseph a shout out and also say to Mark, that's a really sweet thing.
It's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
42? Love it. I was so sweet. I was like, he's 11. And
he's you at Steely Dan age.
Yeah, exactly. That's, oh, how sweet. What will will he have trucks on his birthday cake? But no, 42 is great too. That's also a great age.
Trucks on your birthday cake at 42. Are you planning any future collaborative projects with other artists? We've had a few questions like this. A lot of people asking about David Byrne, whether you two will.
Oh, I wish. I honestly, I wish I could relive the whole experience of working with David.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could redo the record. I wish I could redo the tour. It was just so wonderful. And I was such an anxious person at the time that it was, I don't know, I wish I had my anxiety under control enough to have even enjoyed it even more.
What's one thing we should all know about David Byrne that we might not know?
He loves Tupperware. He always, we would have, craft services, at the festival, and he would fill up his Tupperware with food and then eat the food in the morning, eat sort of dinner-ish things in the morning out of Tupperware. He does not wait. Yeah, it's very sweet.
That was an insight into his genius I wasn't expecting. If you were to pair Daddy's Home with an alcoholic beverage, what would it be? And this is so Julia can get this in for Friday to celebrate the release.
Easy. I would say, well, where are you?
Julia, where are you? No answer. It's like a seance.
Yeah.
Her surname, I'm going to pronounce it wrongly. It's
Oh, she's in London. Okay. Well, because I would say a really good reposado tequila, but sometimes I feel like tequila is harder to get in the UK. I
think you can do.
You can't. Did that come across as racist?
No, not at all. I mean, you live in California. You're not short of good tequilas. It takes us a while. I mean, Mexican food took a long time to get to these shows.
Sometimes I've been okay, good. But okay, so I would say good reposado tequila and sipped with maybe like an ice cube or something.
Okay, so sip it, Julia.
Yeah.
I came to your champagne bar in London. This is Grace Perry. Thanks for the champagne martini and signing my napkin in that ingredient I don't remember the name of.
I also don't remember.
These are all booze questions. A drink named after one of your songs, what would it be and what would it be made of? I don't know if we've got the alcoholics out. I think it's because we're that out again. That's exciting.
Hi, Grace. Like I said, I also don't remember the ingredients. I do know that I was giving, there was some like, here's the really fancy champagne, and here's this and all that, and I was just like, only taking the really fancy champagne and just filling it up to the tippy top. Oh gosh. Again, I mean, I'm a tequila fan, so I would say like you know what? We'll go like a tequila Boilermaker. Like actually, how about like a Blanco cheaper tequila shot with a beer, a Modelo.
Nice, old school.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this question. This is from Steve Hancock. Hi, Annie. I'm fascinated by the ongoing story concerning Johnny, which runs through your albums. Is it possible to know more about Johnny and what inspired this narrative? And do you know how this narrative will end?
Oh God, I don't know how it's going to end. Yeah, I mean, Johnny is that tragic character we all have in our lives, somebody who like burns very brightly, but is also incredibly self-destructive. So
Do you have did you have a lot of role models in songwriting who brought in recurring characters?
I'm trying to think. I feel like Bob Dylan did a lot. I actually don't know. Are you thinking of anybody specific?
I always think of Springsteen, Annie, but yeah, it's a few, I think.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Reed, I guess. Must be many others.
Oh yeah. Oh, Bowie. Yeah, Mark Buckley. Oh yeah. Major Tom, the Thin White Duke. Okay, yeah, Bowie. Yes, that's a good.
That leads us to our next question, actually. Somebody says, you're quite the shapeshifter. Your albums are as surprising as Bowie's were back in the day. Hence the simple question, what did Bowie mean to you? And did you ever get to meet him? Thanks, Dum Dum Boy. I don't think Dum Dum Boy is his birth name. But
that's his Christian name.
Yeah. So Dum Dum Boy would like to know what Bowie meant to you.
Okay. Bowie, I did get to meet him once, but it was long before I had anything really going for me. And he was lovely all the same, but I was friends with some people in the Polyphonic Spree, and I went to go see their show when they were opening for Bowie. I think it was in Boston, but I went backstage and said hi, and he was, in the dressing room with Gail and, it was amazing, who I've also been lucky enough to run into in like airport lounges.
You probably missed it. It's like, yeah.
But I did meet him very briefly, but it, wasn't, it was before I had anything going. Bowie is the best one. The best songs, the best delivery. One thing that I heard actually was from somebody who met Bowie and an artist who I guess I won't name, but who kind of went up to Bowie and said, I just thank you so much for everything you did, and I just want to say, God, I feel like I owe you an apology. I've stolen so many things from you. And he goes, you can't steal from a thief. And I was like, there it is.
That is rather beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you have maybe top 3 Bowie songs, or is that too hard a question?
Well, I go with Scary Monster Super Creeps, It's No Game. I think that was some of those screams in there mixed with Robert Fripp playing completely monstrous and out of tune, but in the absolute best way. That's not a slight at all. It's the best thing in the world. Absolutely transgressive, perverse guitar. The gut-wrenching screams. That. I have to say Black Star is one of my favorite Bowie records. And actually the drummer who have the pleasure of playing with now is Mark Juliana, who played on Black Star.
Wow.
Yeah. He's the loveliest dude.
Is that a special thing within the music world when you feel that you get to touch the hem of the garment of somebody else by working with their colleagues, or does it feel like you're a big part of, I don't know, a big family and a big fabric of music?
Either that or a cannibal.
Depending on the day, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I'm not scared to go on tour with you, probably.
Yeah. Can't steal from a thief.
Exactly. Okay, so this is from Kelly. I don't know.
Oh no, I do have something to say about that.
Yes.
What you're saying. I think in my experience, a lot of the greats are great people. I mean, Bruce is a great person. Bowie, I mean, everybody who played with Bowie and, just was so fond of him. And I think I think for people who are writers and who stay vital and stay writing for their entire career, it's like they have to be grounded enough to talk about actual life, and being grounded enough means, you know, not completely getting subsumed by your own myth or deciding to live on a, you know, in a castle somewhere alone. So I think David Byrne, great. You know, it's the people in the middle who sometimes are the assholes.
The people who never touch the Tupperware.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's middle management.
Exactly. Okay, so this is from Kelly. Kelly, I don't know if it's Chard or Shard, but what advice would you give for getting into writing electronic whilst keeping the guitar sound? P.S. I love you. And she's put a little kiss.
Oh, I love too. Oh, I think just follow your ears. I mean, I think there's a place for all of it, and there's definitely been great examples of electronic music with guitar in it. I mean, I'm thinking of Skinny Puppy, that's the first thing, or like Ministry, that's kind of coming to mind, but a lot of other things that are more recent. Just follow your ears. We need you. I think more than anything, we need you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need you to be you.
Yeah. This is from Simon Housley. Who would be your dream guitar duo?
Guitar duel? Like, oh God. I don't, you know, it's, I'm good at like composing on guitar. I'm not that much of a jammer, believe it or not. I
saw you standing in for Kurt Cobain. I mean,
I don't like jam, like I'm not oh gosh, I don't know. Well, because duel to me kind of sounds like, I mean, there's like a friendly rivalry idea, which is like, I'll show you my hottest stuff, and then you show me yours, and then it's sort of like a rap battle thing. And I just don't think I would fare that well. I have no idea, is the short answer. Sorry.
In answer, she's scared. I think that's.
I'm scared. I would love to play guitar with Mark Rebo.
Okay, all right. Why is that?
Because he's great.
Okay, good answer. Carl, I love your cover versions. If you were to release an album of cover versions, what songs would you like to do? I don't think you need the entire track listing. You can just give us.
First song. Jesus. God. Oh God. Skip this one, come back. I'm sorry.
All songs, haven't you?
Okay.
What was the creative process working with Bon Iver?
Oh gosh, he's so lovely. He's a lovely dude. Justin is delightful. The process was, and it was ages ago, but the process was he sent me a song, and then I went into a studio and recorded vocals on top and sent it back. We weren't in the same place, and it happened very quickly. So it wasn't, but then after that, we got to know each other a little bit, and he's just a lovely dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry but that's not a very satisfying answer, but we weren't in the same room at the time, unfortunately.
He is a lovely dude. We've had a lot of requests for you to name your favorite song from this album.
Oh.
Any favorites with your songs that way?
I do. I play them against one another and make them cry for my love and affection, you know, like any good parent. I have a real soft spot in my heart for Down and Out Downtown. That's a song.
Why is that?
Even when I play it, it puts me in a very meditative place.
Mm-hmm.
It moves me in a way that feels mysterious, like I don't know where it came from. a little.
Are a lot
Even
of things like that? Do they come to you mysteriously, or are you plotting them out?
a lot of things are plotted out and, you know, sweated over, but some things you just kind of feel like, oh, that was, oh, like, oh, that was inside of me, or oh, that, you know, came through me. Wow.
Yeah.
What, how mysterious and cool.
When did you first feel that ever?
I remember being when I first started playing guitar, I was 13, and one of the things, or 12, and one of the things I would do is I would go to the little local guitar shop and learn other people's songs, and that's how I would. So, but I would come home and I would be playing other people's songs, but then I would slowly just kind of morph into trying to write my own thing. And I remember early on, this isn't exactly what you're talking about, but I remember early on, like when I would open my voice to sing to try to like write something, I would immediately just start crying. Like it was a very charged thing as a 12, 13-year-old. And I wasn't a crier.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I wasn't like a crier.
Yeah.
It was like oh, this is a very deep portal to a lot of emotion that I don't otherwise have access to.
That's
or that.
When did the crying become singing?
Oh God, I mean, it took years.
That's beautiful. A lot of requests to talk about the polyphonic spree.
Oh my God. What do you want to know?
What they mean to you, everyone seems to want to know. Tell us about your time with them. What's this one say? Could you just talk a bit more about your time with the spree?
Yeah. Oh man. So I would go see the polyphonic spree when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. It was my favorite band, and shout out Dallas, Texas. And I just remember going to see their shows, and that was when everybody was wearing white, and it was just like, what is this like cult, ecstatic, scary, you know, thing? And I just remember being so blown away. And then I dropped out of college and moved to New York, and then moved back to Dallas. And my friend who was in the band was like, hey, they're looking for a guitar player. Why don't you try out? So I went. I learned all the songs in a couple days, practiced in my little room, and went and tried out, and made it. And you know, a couple days later, I was on in the back of an American Airlines flight to Heathrow. Probably had about a 5, 6, 7 hour layover where I slept on the floor, and then, but yeah. But the first tour out with them, I mean, the first show out with them was at Benicassim in Spain, which was beautiful. So I'm like, just this stupid kid, and next thing I know, I'm like playing in a band that I love, and like on tour, and like Sonic Youth is on the bill, and you'd like go to the day room. Day rooms are like, you know, where you literally get a hotel room for a day so you can like go in and shower and then, you know, go to the festival or whatever. But I remember like Kim and Thurston and their nanny and their child were like hanging out at the hotel in France, like by the pool. And I was like, oh my God, I've made it. Yeah. And you know, my first show with them was playing for like 30,000 people. Wow. I was like, what? The last, you know, I went from like playing literally a pizza parlor to being on stage at a big festival with the band I love. So it was wild. It was people were really nice and friendly, and big-hearted Texans, and, you know, drunk. And I mean, the amount of people that they crammed onto a double-decker bus was just shocking.
I'm probably illegal.
Yeah, I've never been so dirty.
Thank you very much. Who else have we got? How did the Paul McCartney remix come about, and what was it like to work with him? It came about, they asked if I wanted to, you know, remix a Paul McCartney song off of 3, and I was like, yes, of course. I picked Women Wives, and I just kind of did it all myself in quarantine, and you know, sent it off. And it's like, well, hope Paul likes it.
And then a couple months later, I just, London was calling, and I'm like, what? I answer, it's Paul McCartney, and he sounds just like Paul McCartney,
Yeah. Yeah.
He does he was just charming and lovely, and said he really liked the track. And at the end of the conversation, he said, it's great, this thing we get to do, this music thing, right? And I was like,
Oh,
yes, Paul, it is.
and you've never met him in real life?
No, I didn't, and I hadn't, and but he's like around and still in the world and shows up to things, and so it which I so appreciate. I mean, he could have retired to a castle, but he's a writer, and he needs to write, and he is still making great stuff, and that's kind of God willing, if there was one, that's how I want to go out, just like,
Yeah, still going.
yeah, still going.
You have some impressive soccer skills, says John.
Mm.
Is there a team you follow or support?
Oh my God, this could be
the audience figures now, because they could drop dramatically if you
I know. This could get really hairy.
Yeah.
I love watching soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And I support all the teams who
impeccably
play one another.
You love kicking the ball.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I wish them all well.
Yeah. So diplomatic. Thank you. What inspired the themes for your artist in residence shows for BBC Radio 6 Music?
What were the themes? Were like songs that remind me of shapes, I think.
Mm-hmm. Favorite shape?
I don't know. I think I just kind of rattled them off, and not in a bad way, but just, this is a way I just thinking like, this is a way I conceive of music. Maybe this will be an interesting way to frame it, because I think about things very visually. So
nice. Harriet says, harmonically, the release singles are a lot simpler than past records. How did you move from Marry Me being so jazz theory towards more classic rock theory, but still sneaking in the odd mode?
I'd say gotta wait for the whole album.
Well, exactly, Harriet.
You're gonna see some
jazzing out.
You're gonna see some chord progressions.
Just you wait.
Just you wait. Did it pay you in pain? Melting of the Sun. Oh, there are a lot of chords in that. Down is a 1/4 situation. Pay is middle. Yeah, I mean, just wait. Just you wait.
Yeah.
There's going to be those chords with all kind of numbers next to them.
Yeah, we can all. I'm trying to find. Everyone is asking. Oh, this is nice. Any chance of a St. Vincent Holly Harvey collaboration?
Oh God, I hope. I mean, I've never met her. I've never met her, and I don't. How do I say? I don't know that she would care to meet me, so I don't have no idea. Not in I don't mean that completely self-effacing, but what does she care?
She's a very personable person. I think she would.
She seems lovely. I mean, she seems incredibly lovely. But I mean, that would be amazing. But
Polly, if you're in the audience,
the ball's in your court, Polly.
Yeah, she will put you in touch.
Yeah.
Wilfred would like to know. Actually, is it Wilfried? Wilfried. It seems that you've been really exploring and pushing sonic possibilities on this album, probably more than the others. I remember listening to Pay Your Way in Pain the first time and loving how it was playing with a stereo pan. Was this sonic aspect really important on this record, almost like an instrument of its own?
Say the stereo. I'm sorry. Can you?
Yes. Do you want the whole question again?
Oh no. Yes, I do. I'm sorry, because I finally saw the chat bubble, and I was trying to read some, and then I didn't, and then I got sidetracked. So, but I'm gonna stick with you to curate the questions because it's a bit too much.
It seems that you've been really exploring and pushing sonic possibilities on this album, probably more than the others. I remember listening to Pay Your Way in Pain the first time and loving how it was playing with a stereo pan.
Oh, it does. Yes, very much. Good question.
It is a good question. Was this sonic aspect really important on this record, almost like an instrument of its own?
Very much so. Yeah. I remember Jack and I would be trading files back and forth, after quarantine, because I just work alone and he'd work alone. We'd meld it together. But I remember being in Pro Tools and being like, oh, whoa, wait, is there something? What's going on? And I realized like, oh, this is really cool. He put phase on the master bus for 3 seconds. Or the mixing of it is just like very alive, or like all of a sudden there's trim on the master.
Mm-hmm.
Why, so that all that stuff was really just bold strokes, bold choices, with that. And Jack was definitely so creative in that arena.
This leads us to the next one from Roger Walker. You've worked with Julia Stone as producer recently and also Slater Kinney. Who would you like to work with as a producer, and do you plan to do more as a producer in general? Thanks, Roger.
Oh, I really like producing. It's really, really fun. And I love Slater Kinney. I love Julia. As far as somebody else, I hadn't. It's one of those things where I really like producing. I also really like writing. So I think the next thing I'd love to do is kind of like produce and write with someone, which I was definitely way just on the production, side of those other records, which were so fun and so fulfilling. But I'd like to kind of do more of this.
Once again, Polly Harvey, if you're listening.
She's tuned. One of the 124 participants. She never misses my live streams.
No, I know, she's a pain. There's 54 new messages, but I'm afraid Annie has to run off to do whatever fantastic St. Vincent thing she has to do. Thank you all for your questions. My favorite comment from tonight has been, Annie will always be daddy. And I think that's a lovely moment, a way to end this evening. Annie, thank you so much. It's been a delight to talk to you. And thank you to everybody for attending. Let's hand back to Elle. Thank you, Annie.
Thanks, Laura.
Take care. Bye.
I would just like to jump on and say a huge and sincere thank you from all of us at Rough Trade to our guests and to everyone watching at home as well. We'll continue to present a selection of these Rough Trade Zoom webinar events, so please keep a check on the Rough Trade Instagram, Twitter and the website, as well as the Dice app for more announcements. Our next event will be on Monday with Holly McNish. That's it from us, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.